Okay, so I just want to check that we are now at page 49. Sebab saya baru mengajar satu lagi kelas. So rupa-rupanya saya sekarang ada dua kelas admit form 4 yang kamu lebih laju daripada diorang. So it's like, okay, saya kena ingat. Kamu di sini. I think you should be here lah. Okay, so today we're going to be looking at 2.3, okay, which is quadratic functions. If you have your textbooks with you, okay, turn to page 49. Okay, sebelum ini, we have looked at quadratic equations. Okay, so persamaan kuadratik, okay, dia punya bentuk the general form, okay, of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals to 0. Okay, this is a quadratic equation. But something is a quadratic function. Okay, so what is the difference between a quadratic equation and a quadratic function? Okay, an equation di hujung satu equation itu kan mesti satu nombor kosong. Okay, the form of an equation, it must be equals to 0. But a quadratic function is basically the same thing as this one. Okay, ax squared plus bx plus c, except that a function tells you the relationship between the y coordinate and the x coordinate. And this is the biggest difference antara satu function dengan satu equation. Satu equation kan dia akan sama dengan kosong. Okay, but in this subtopic, and this big subtopic now is a very big subtopic, okay, kita akan membincangkan specifically quadratic functions sebab we want to draw graph. Okay, and all graphs, okay, saya mau kamu biasakan diri dengan inilah. The x coordinate, okay, is still on the x-axis lah. Okay, tapi yang kita selalu biasa dengan huruf y bahkan, okay, now kita kenali sebagai koordinat fx. It's just a number. Okay, it's just a number. For example, if let's say I give you a function fx equals to 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. Okay, can you tell me if x, kalau saya substitute x sama dengan 1 ke dalam sini, okay, what will my answer be? Can you calculate? Put x equals to 1 inside here and inside here. Tell me what is the value that you get in your calculator. Kamu akan dapat the value of 0. Okay, when you put 1 inside here, 2 kali 1 tambah 4 kali 1, tolak 6, kau akan dapat dengan kosong. Now, ini adalah value koordinat y yang kita sekarang kenali sebagai fx. That means I have one coordinate, my coordinate will be 1 and 0. So maybe something like this lah. If this is 1 kan, this is the coordinate. So I want you to get used to this idea that a function, okay, satu fungsi okay, is a equation that tells you the relationship between the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Cuma sekarang yang kita biasa dengan y ini, we now call it fx. Kita panggil fx sudah. So jangan kita cakap y balik lah, kita cakap fx. So this whole subtopic saya balik-balik akan cakap fx ini. So if I tell you, okay, give me this coordinate 3 and 6, you must be able to tell me that 3 is the coordinate x and 6 is the coordinate fx. Okay, so get used to this because when we plot graph nanti kan, we will use all this. So get used to this. So the difference between an equation and a function is equation dia akan sama dengan kosong because we're not interested in the y coordinate. Tapi function, kita boleh gunakan function untuk menjelaskan. Okay, untuk menjelaskan hubungan antara koordinat x dan koordinat y. Now the second thing I want to remind you, actually kamu sudah belajar tapi saya mau kasih ingat saja, that all quadratic functions, okay, that all quadratic functions ada dua jenis dan dia ada di dalam buku teks kamu page 49. Okay, sorry, 49. I cannot see myself. Okay, so page 49. In the textbook, there are two types of quadratic function graphs. Okay, so the first kind is the one yang bentuk macam ni. Okay, yang kita panggil bentuk senyum. Okay, and the second kind is the bentuk yang we call this bentuk murung lah. Okay, like sad face kan, like that lah. Okay, but if you want to make it easier, your head is basically two quadratic function graphs. Kan sebelah atas di sini kan, from here to here, okay, is the graph murung. And then and then sebelah bawah di sini from here to here, okay, is the smiley graph. So the graph yang smiley itu, okay, yang di bawah sini ya, we call this a minimum graph. Minimum, okay, minimum graph. Manakala the graph yang looks like this kan, okay, this is called a maximum graph. Okay, so if you want to make it easier for you to remember, kamu ingat sajalah kamu punya bentuk kepala. On top here is maximum, at the down here is minimum. And because this is the bottom of your head and this is the top of your head. So maximum graph, minimum graph. Okay, that's how you remember this. But today, what I want to first talk about with you is, kalau setiap satu graph kan dia punya dia punya ini kan sama saja, whether it is minimum or maximum, the general form is still ax squared plus bx plus c. But what is the difference? Apa bezanya kalau saya bagi kamu graph fx equals to 2x squared plus 2x minus 4 dengan fx equals to negative 2x squared plus 2x minus 4. What is the difference? What is the difference between these 2 and negative 2? Atau, if I give you fx equals to 2x squared plus 2x minus 4 and fx equals to 2x squared minus 2x minus 4. What is the difference between these two? Macam mana dia punya graph berbeza? Okay. Atau, sorry, another one. Atau saya bagi kamu fx equals to 2x squared plus 2x minus 4 dengan fx equals to 2x squared plus 2x plus 4. What is the difference between these two graphs? Dia hampir nampak macam sama kan, tapi dia punya tanda itu berlainan. So today, the first thing I want to teach you is, I want you to know this A, B, and C, kalau kita ubah dia punya nombor, okay, what does it mean? Okay, and to do that, I want to show you, I have to stop presenting this screen first, okay, and then I want to show you this interactive, which you can actually do when you are free later, but it's actually also page 49 lah. Kamu nampak bahkan itu QR code di sana. Okay, so the QR code di sana akan menunjukkan, oh no, okay, akan menunjukkan kamu inilah. Okay, yeah, so I've decided to use my laptop for this because every time I use my my tab kan untuk ini kan, terus dia akan jadi hangkang ni. Okay, so let's set it at this one A equals to 1, B equals to 2, and C equals to 3. So this graph over here, sorry, can you see the screen I'm presenting now? I'm showing you this graph thingy. Apakah?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So you can see this 1x squared plus 2x plus 3 bahkan. Can see?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So A is 1, B is 2, and C is 3. So we look at this. Okay, and this is how the graph would look like. It is a minimum graph sebab dia adalah bentuk kamu punya muka di bawah bahkan. So it's a minimum graph, okay, with, you know, tapi dia punya position di sini. Now let's say I change this A, I change the A to a negative 1. Okay, instead of 1, now saya tukar pergi negative 1. Take a look at the graph. The graph now becomes a maximum graph. And this is the first thing yang saya mau sampaikan dengan kamu. The value of A, okay, nilai A menunjukkan satu perkara. It will tell you whether it is a minimum graph or a maximum graph. Okay, take a look at this. Dia adalah minimum graph kalau dia adalah nombor positif. Take a look. A equals to 1, A equals to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. As long as the A is a positive number, the graph will be a minimum shape. Okay, that's point number 1. Point number 2, look at this graph again. Let me start from 1. Okay, look at this graph again. Bila saya bertambah dia punya value, when I add the value to A, when I make A bigger, A equals to 2, A equals to 3, A equals to 4, A equals to 5, A equals to 6, A equals to 7, A equals to 8, A equals to 9, A equals to 10. What happens to the graph? Berbanding dengan A1 begini dan A10 begini. What happens to the graph? Can anybody tell me? Dia jadi lebih apa? You can see or not? A equals to 1, A equals to 10.
Dia
What
jadi
happens? The bigger
kurus.
dia jadi yeah, I think that's a good example. But that's the point lah. Doesn't matter what words you use. Yang penting kamu faham. Bila nombor A kan dia semakin besar, dia akan jadi makin kurus. So the biggest the biggest size of the graph is when A equals to 1. Okay, paling gemuk lah. Okay, dia punya ini. Dia boleh jadi lebih gemuk lagi ya. Kalau A adalah contohnya 1/3. Okay, become even fatter. And we find the same thing kalau dia punya A adalah negatif, tetapi bila dia negatif kan dia makin negatif, tengok bila dia makin negatif, dia akan pun menjadi semakin kurus. So this is the number one thing, the first information I want you to get from this thing. The number A, number A, okay, in a quadratic function tells you two things. Number one, is it a minimum graph or is it a maximum graph? Okay, kalau dia minimum, A adalah nombor positif. Kalau dia adalah maximum, A adalah nombor negatif. Secondly, the number itself tells you whether the graph is fat, okay, begini fat, atau begini kurus. Okay, the bigger the number A, the bigger the number A, the more, apa tu kau cakap, kurus bahkan, ya dia lebih kurus lah. Okay, it is a smaller, thinner graph. Yeah, the two lines are much more nearer to one another. Okay, secondly, now I'm going to set this back A to 1. Okay, secondly, what if I change the value of B? Okay, so this is the value of B and this is positive. Okay, if I make the B bigger, what happens to the graph? Makin besar nilai B kan, dia akan makin ke, what happens? Anybody? What happens? Come on, tell me.
Pergi kiri.
Okay, the bigger the value of the B, you find that the graph, okay, menjadi lebih ke kiri. Tetapi bukan saja itu tau, dia not just, take a look properly and see. Look at the minimum value. This is the minimum value lah, the point yang paling bawah. Kau tengok, dia akan menjadi bukan saja lebih ke kiri, dia akan jadi makin ke bawah. That's a very important point. Okay, let me show you again. Okay, B equals to 1 is here. Okay, B equals to 2. Tengok, look at this minimum point over here. It's going further down. The bigger the B, the further down it's going to go. And kamu punya graph akan makin ke kiri lah, which, as somebody pointed out just now, is very true. If the B is negative, okay, take a look. If the B is negative, dia punya minimum point kan akan makin menurun juga, tetapi dia akan makin menurun ke sebelah kanan. Isn't that interesting? You change the value of B, you change the shape of the graph, Okay, kalau B adalah positif, dia akan makin ke sebelah kiri, tapi ke bawah. Kalau if the B is makin negatif, dia akan makin ke sebelah kanan dan ke bawah. Okay, it's pretty interesting. What if I change? Okay, now let me change once again. I change the value of A to negative lah. Okay, let's take a look at this. B is supposed to go, kalau saya makin positif kan, dia akan sepatutnya pergi ke sebelah kiri bahkan. But look at this, it's going to the right. And the maximum value dia akan makin menjadi lebih tinggi. Manakala kalau saya negatifkan, dia akan makin menjadi tinggi juga, tetapi dia bergerak ke sebelah kiri. Okay, so this is a very important point for us to remember lah. The shape of the graph, whether it is a minimum graph or maximum graph, actually affects the B. Dia akan memberitahu kita kan yang B itu mau pergi ke sebelah mana. But what we know is that when the B increases, bila B semakin besar, the maximum or the minimum point, okay, dia akan menjadi semakin besar. That's the point that you need to take back from this. Okay, the value of B tells you that the bigger the value of B, the lower the graph is going to be. Okay, and then of course dia kiri kanan lah. Okay, let me reset this back. Third thing, what happens if I change the value of C? Okay, take a look at this. Now C is equals to 3, somewhere here lah. Okay, if I increase the C, what happens? What happens to my minimum value when I increase the C? C is 3 is here, C is 5 is here, C is 10 is here. Anybody? Anybody want to try and tell me what happens to the value of C? If let's say I put a C negative, look at the C negative 1. Okay, negative 2, negative 3, negative 4, negative 5, all the way to negative 10. You see that the value of C actually follows this one? This negative 10, makan. This negative 10. If I increase the C up to 5, or 6 lah, no, 5 lah. Look at this. Now C is positive 5. Look at the value of the intercept over here. The point, the cutting point lah, is positive 5. If I put out the 10, it's over here. So we find that even in a curve, okay, walaupun dia adalah graph minimum, dia tetap ada y-intercept. And C is the value of the y-intercept. No matter how I change the B, kamu tengok dia punya y-intercept tidak berubah itu. Dia akan tetap 10. Okay, or if I change it the other way around, take a look. Let's say now my C is negative 5. Okay, take a look at the y-intercept. Nah, dia memotong di sini, which is also negative 5. So the value of C, okay, the value of C tells us where the y-intercept is. Dia tak semestinya the minimum value lah. Okay, but the C tells us where is the y-intercept. This is a very important point also to remember. Okay, so nombor A, nombor B dan nombor C kan, dia bukan sekadar nombor yang main campak saja macam tu tau. Dia ada maksud itu sebenarnya. Okay, let me recap. You can turn to page 50 on this lah. Tapi page 50 kan dia punya perkataan terlampau banyak, but there's too many words on page 50. Okay, although it's true lah. Okay, I recap back. A, okay, the value of A tells you two things. Number one, if A is positive, then it is a astaga, hold on. Okay, if A is positive, then it is a minimum graph. Okay, bentuk kepala kamu yang di bawah. Okay, manakala kalau A adalah negatif, dia adalah bentuk kepala di atas. Okay, this is called a maximum graph. Secondly, the number of A, okay, akan memberitahu kamu sama ada dia adalah gemuk atau kurus. The bigger the value of A, okay, dia punya graph akan menjadi semakin kurus. Whether it is 10 or negative 10. Okay, negative 10 cuma maksudnya dia adalah maximum graph yang kurus. Okay, berbanding dengan negative 5. Negative 5 dia adalah maximum graph yang a little bit kurus lah. Dia tidaklah sekurus betul, tapi not very kurus. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, B, okay, B adalah nombor yang memberitahu kamu where is the position of the minimum value. The bigger the value of the B, okay, the bigger the minimum value. Dan kamu lihat kalau B positif bahkan, look, if the B is positive, look at the minimum point. It will be at the top, di nombor positif. Tapi bila B itu adalah negatif, at the top, at the right side. Okay, B positif, minimum graph dia on the right side. B negatif, minimum graph, did I say right side? Left side, sebelah kiri. B negatif, tetapi dia adalah minimum graph kan, minimum point dia akan berada di sebelah kanan. Kalau A adalah negatif, okay, maximum graph bahkan. Okay, A negative, B negative, maximum point is on the left side. A negative, B positive, the maximum point is on the right side. Okay, sebelah positif. Okay, so ada 4 situasi ni guys. Ada 4 situasi yang melibatkan nombor A dan nombor B. I repeat banyak kali saya ulang. Okay, number 1, A positive, B positive. A positive, B positive, minimum graph, minimum point di sebelah kiri. A positive, B negative, minimum point, tapi the minimum point di sebelah kanan. A negatif. Okay, A negatif, B positif. Okay, dia adalah maximum point di sebelah kanan. Okay, dan A negatif, B negatif, dia adalah maximum point sebelah kiri. Okay, so all of these are very important things to remember when you're looking at the numbers. Okay, jangan tengok nombor itu, oh itu nombor itu macam tu sajalah, tiada. Ada maksud itu. The numbers got meaning one. Okay, and lastly, the C value is the y-intercept. Okay, kalau, sebagai contoh, okay, say for example like this. Okay, this is the y-intercept. C equals to 4. 4 is here lah. Okay, so it doesn't matter how the graph looks like. Dia mesti memotong pada paksi fx, okay, at point C. Okay, that's a very important piece of information to know. So what I want you to do now is, let's take a look at page 51. Okay, take a look at page 51. Let's do this together lah, sebab ini sebenarnya hanya penjelasan saja, but I really want you to understand how the numbers work lah. Okay, take a look at page 51, question number 1. Okay, while I share this new screen again. Okay, so let me see if I can draw it down. Okay, so you have over here adalah here 0, this is 3, this is -2. The intercept over here is 6. Fx equals to -x² plus x plus 6. Okay, so this is our fx and this is our x lah. Now, kita verify a few things. Notice number 1, that the c-intercept, the y-intercept kan, nombornya adalah 6. Dan dia betul-betul memotong pada nombor 6. Okay, so this is the C. The A is A is -1 and B is 1. Okay, macam saya cakap, A -1 maksudnya apa? Dia adalah maximum graph, tetapi gemuk lah. Kan, sebab dia satu saja. Kalau dia A adalah 10, bahkan dia sangat kurus. But A is 1, A is -1. Negative means dia adalah maximum graph, tetapi gemuk. Okay, so verified sudahlah. Okay, so the question now is this. Sketch the graph of fx form when the following values change. Okay, so value of A changes to -3. What do you think happens to the graph? A sekarang saya tukar pergi -3. What happens to this graph? Dia akan jadi apa?
Jadi kurus juga.
Dia akan dia akan jadi kurus. Dia akan jadi kurus lah. So it will be like maybe a little bit shorter. Tetapi di sana, so ini akan jadi -3x² plus x plus 6. Lihat the 6 doesn't change. Okay, dia masih tetap akan memotong di 6. Cuma seperti yang Clarence cakap, okay, dia akan menjadi kurus. Okay, let me just check something. Ya, okay, dia akan menjadi kurus. And then of course, disebabkan dia menjadi kurus kan, ini 2 dan ini 3 kan, tidak boleh kena pakai lah. Okay, so it will still have the same maximum point, except that dia adalah lebih kurus. Something like this lah. Okay, dia akan menjadi lebih kurus. As long as you understand dia akan menjadi lebih kurus, that's good enough. Okay, secondly question number 2. Sekarang A kita tukar pergi -1/4. Apa yang akan terjadi kepada graf hitam ini? What happens to this black color graph? A sekarang adalah -1/4.
Gemuk.
What will happen? Okay, dia akan jadi lebih gemuk, tetapi this 6 this 6 masih kekal it does not change, so nombor yang lain semua tidak ubah. Yang hanya ubah adalah the size of the graph. So it may be a little bit more fatter like this. Okay, A equals to -1/4. Okay, B. Value of B changes to -1. Okay, so sekarang fx adalah -x² minus 1 plus 6. Okay, think about this. So we know that, we know that this value of B akan menentukan sama ada dia pergi ke sebelah kiri ke pergi ke sebelah kanan dan dia naik atau turun lah. Okay, but now what happens if I change the B to negative 1? Does it go to the left? Does it go to the right? How?
Kiri aja cikgu.
Okay, remember so A negative, maximum graph kalau B negative dia akan pergi ke sebelah kiri. Okay, it will follow the sign. Okay, so apa yang akan terjadi is the point is still the same. Okay, the point dia masih pegang adalah 6. Astaga. Okay, the point is still 6 except that now this graph yang warna hitam itu akan bergerak ke sebelah kiri sebab dia follow negative. Okay, so it will be something like maybe like this. Okay, daripada yang hitam dia bergerak ke sebelah kiri. Okay, B yang susah sikit sebab B ada 4 situations. Okay, I repeat kalau A positif, you know what? A, sini B. Okay, so A positif, B positif. Okay, it will be on the left side. Okay, minimum graph with left side. Kalau A positif, B negatif, okay, dia adalah graph minimum tapi right side. Kalau A negatif macam ni, okay, if A is negative like in this case, B is positive, dia adalah maximum graph on the right side. Okay, seperti inilah, seperti yang warna hitam ini. A negatif, maximum graph, tetapi B dia positif, so dia akan berada di sebelah kanan. Okay, and lastly, if A is negative and B is negative, okay, dia adalah satu graph maximum, macam yang warna merah sekarang, tetapi on the left side. Okay, so the combination of A and B will tell you, kombinasi A dan B ni akan memberitahu kamu kan, where exactly is the position of the graph. And this is important to us much later lah, but today I just want to introduce this to you first. Okay, value of C changes to negative 2. Question number 3. C sekarang bukan lagi 6, tetapi C sama dengan negative 2. So fx equals to negative x squared plus x minus 2. What happens to my graph now? Apa yang akan terjadi kepada graf saya?
Dia murung cikgu.
Okay, murung itu satu sebab dia negatif. Selain itu, remember, what does this number tell us? Nombor ini bagi tahu kita apa? Di mana dia punya lintasan y. Di mana dia memintas pada paksi fx. Okay, so saya terpaksa turunkan ini pergi negative 2 lah, let's say di sini. Okay, and we find that there is no other way, I have to move the whole graph down so that, sebab dia kena ikut bentuk ini. Bentuknya tidak berubah, cuma dia punya kedudukan yang berubah. So what happens now is, I'm going to get this kind of graph. Okay, sepertinya yang warna hitam itu kan, saya kasih gerak semua ke bawah menjadi yang warna merah. Okay, saya kasih move down all this lah. Okay, so this is a very important thing for us to know lah, and saya banyak menghabiskan masa pasal ini sebab it's important for us to know this because saya mau kamu fahami ada bah sebenarnya nombor ini semua ni kan ada maksud ni sebenarnya. Dia bukan main nombor-nombor yang kita campak di sini sana saja sesuka hati lah. Okay, macam random numbers that makes no sense. No, tiada. Dia ada maksudnya sebenarnya. Okay, and it will be important for us nantilah bila kita masuk lagi ke dalam satu topik ini. Okay, perkara kedua yang saya mau sampaikan is, if you remember our previous lesson, I talked about b squared minus 4ac, and I said there are 3 categories of roots. Okay, three categories of roots lah. Satu adalah b squared minus 4ac is more than 0 or is a positive number. Second group is b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0. And the third one is b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. Okay, can anybody tell me what are the categories? Apa nama kategori ini? B squared minus 4ac is more than 0 maksudnya apa? What is the interpretation? Apa dia punya tafsiran?
Positif.
Kau geramkan Charles. Positif b squared minus 4ac maksudnya apa? Saya tahu lah positif, tapi maksudnya apa?
Real and different roots.
Okay, real and different roots. Okay, good. Second one, b squared minus 4ac equals to 0. Okay, dia bukan lagi positif. Okay, equal. Okay, equal roots. Dan last kali?
No roots.
Not to say no roots, no what?
No real.
Okay, no, yeah, not no roots, no real roots. Ada root tapi dia not real. Okay, apa maksud perkataan real kan? Saya tidak boleh bincangkan sekarang, so ini adalah benda tingkatan 6, form 6 stuff lah. Then you will know there's actually such a thing called real number and not real number. Okay, but for now we just talk about this one. Okay, so now we have to talk in terms of graph. Okay, now if you look at this, kalau kamu ingat contoh ini tadi, okay, this number 2 and number negative 2 and number 3, okay, ini sebenarnya yang kita panggil sebagai roots. Okay, roots atau punca-punca lah kalau dalam bahasa Melayu. Okay, so 2 and 3 are roots. Sorry, negative 2 and 3 are what we call roots. Okay, and if you notice that these roots, negative 2 and 3 are different roots. Kan dia adalah punca yang berbeza, so dia bukan nombor yang sama. Okay, satu adalah negatif 2, satu adalah 3. So we call this different roots. And they are not just different, they are also real and different roots. So actually this graph, kalau kita kira dia punya discriminant, kita akan dapat b squared minus 4ac is more than 0. Okay, so in terms of the bentuk graph, today we're just going to be talking about graph only. In terms of the shape of the graph, if your b squared minus 4ac is more than 0 and the roots are real, okay, if I draw a graph and this is the x-axis, okay, this is the x-axis. I'm going to ignore the y-axis, okay, but the shape of the graph will be either like this, kalau dia adalah maximum graph, minimum graph, okay, or like this, okay, kalau dia adalah maximum graph. Real and different roots, this is the two cases. Okay, minimum graph is maksudnya A adalah lebih dari kosong. Okay, positive number, and this is A is less than 0. But this is how the graphs will look like. Dia akan memotong di dua tempat yang berlainan. Because they are not just real roots, they are also different roots. Real maksudnya dia akan potong paksi X. Macam ni. Okay, macam ni. Banyak sudah saya punya lukisan. Okay, dia akan potong paksi X. Tetapi pada dua tempat yang berlainan. That's why it's called real and different. Because dia bukan memotong di tempat yang sama. Dia memotong di dua tempat yang berlainan. Whether it is a minimum or a maximum graph. Okay, kalau b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0, okay, let me draw once again the x-axis. Okay, kalau dia adalah minimum graph, what you will get is you will get like this. Dia hanya akan memotong di satu tempat sahaja. You will get the same answer. When you EQN kan, you will get the same answer. So whether it is a minimum graph, A is more than 0, or a maximum graph, okay, over here, A is less than 0. Dia hanya akan memotong satu saja. So bila you nampak itu graph, when you look at the graph, certain things you can tell. Kau nampak saja kan, kau boleh bagi tahu sudah. You should be able to do this. Okay, as med students lah. Okay, you see the graph and you can tell me, oh, okay, this graph has two roots. This graph has one root. Okay, kalau dia one root, apa dia punya maksud? Maksudnya b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0. Kalau dia two roots, maksudnya b squared minus 4ac will give you a positive number. Okay, and lastly, if there are no real roots, okay, I hope you can imagine what is going to happen after this lah. Kalau ini dia potong kalau sini dia potong dua tempat. Kalau sini dia potong satu tempat. No real roots simply means that the graph is just hanging in the air. Dia tergantung di udara saja. Dia tidak akan memotong paksi X langsung. Okay, in the same way like this lah. So this is A is more than 0, A is less than 0. Okay, so where the graph is positioned will tell you whether there is a real root or there is no real root. Okay, so there are many ways for you to know the types of roots. Satu dengan mengira discriminant, b squared minus 4ac, which was last week punya kerja lah. The second way is to look at the graph itself. Kamu lukis the graph, then you see, oh, okay, dia memotong di dua tempat, so potong di dua tempat. Oh, dia memotong di satu tempat saja, there's only one root, okay. Atau langsung tidak memotong di mana-mana, then it will be tergantung di udara. Okay, and this presents a very important thing for us lah. Okay, when you look at graph, you should be able to tell me what is the this one. Okay, so I want to answer. Take a look at the example questions lah. Okay, example question in page 53. Okay, and I kind of want to end with this today here lah. Okay, example 11. Okay, so question A, example 11, question A says, find the values of m such that x-axis is the tangent to the graph. Okay, tangent to the graph, and then they give you the function fx equals to m plus 1 x squared plus 4m minus 2x plus 2m. Okay, so first of all, identify lah, this is A, this whole thing is B, and this whole thing is C. Ini yang paling penting. Okay. Then, secondly, I want you to understand also that the words tangent to the graph, okay, tangent means dia hanya, touch the axis at one point only. Okay, dia hanya menyentuh di satu tempat sahaja. Okay, now if you remember the graph, kalau dia menyentuh di satu tempat sahaja, in mathematics, this means b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0. That's why you see in the working over there kan, for question number A, dia bagi b squared minus 4ac is equals to 0. Because this sentence, tangent to the graph, membawa maksud ini, b squared minus 4ac equals to 0. Kamu ganti b masuk, ganti a masuk, ganti c masuk, and then you solve. Okay, solve by factorization to get the two m values over there lah. Okay, question B. Question B dia cakap, find the range of values of k if the graph fx equals to 2x squared plus 5x plus 3 minus k. Let's identify the A, B, and C. A is 2, B is 5, and this whole thing is C. Okay, tetapi syarat that they give, dia cakap has no x-intercept. Has no x-intercept means that dia tidak memotong paksi x. Okay, and if you remember this graph, there's only one situation where dia tidak memotong paksi x, which is this situation. Okay, this situation. So that means this is our starting point. We start by saying b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. Okay, because the graph, okay, has no x-intercept. Sebab dia bagi kita syarat begini, the graph has no x-intercept. Makanya b squared minus 4ac is less than 0. So this is the skill that I want you to acquire today. So sebelum ini, okay, you calculate the discriminant, lepas itu kamu bagi tahu saya. Okay, is it real and different roots? Is it equal roots? Is it no real roots? Now I'm flipping the tables over. I'm asking you, okay, kalau no real roots maksudnya apa? B squared minus 4AC is less than 0. Kalau dia tangent maksudnya apa? B squared minus 4AC equals to 0. Kalau dia two roots, okay, atau memotong paksi X di dua tempat, means B squared minus 4AC is more than 0. So I give you the sentence, you give me the condition. There's only three conditions. B squared minus 4AC more, equal or less than 0. But it's your job to figure out, okay, kalau saya bagi kamu satu ayat kan, mana satu yang fit into this description. Okay, and that's why today's one is very important lah. Question C, question C dia cakap, find the range of values of P if blah blah blah, you have the function over there equals to x squared plus px plus p plus 3. Dia cakap has 2x-intercept. 2x-intercept means dia akan memotong di dua tempat pada paksi X. Which means that this sentence, okay, ayat ini sebenarnya memberitahu kamu secara tidak langsung bahawa B squared minus 4AC is more than 0. Okay, so the sentence will tell you which B squared minus 4AC you need to use. Okay, and then of course, our A is 1, our B is P, and our C is P plus 3 lah. Okay, this is normal. Okay, and then after that you solve as you would solve like normal lah. Please, everybody, please don't forget kalau kau tengok di contoh C bahkan P squared minus 4P minus 12 is more than 0. So our usual standard practice is we will factorize this, atau kamu pakai EQN bahkan. Okay, you get P equals to negative 2, P equals to 6, tetapi saya mau kamu tunjukkan dengan saya dalam kurungan P plus 2, P minus 6 is more than 0, and then you always draw this. Okay, so this is not the final answer people. Ini hanya untuk memberitahu kita sini negatif 2, sini 6. Mana yang kamu lorek? Kamu lorek di atas. Okay, dan kalau kamu lorek di atas, macam mana dia punya bentuk jawapan? P is more than 6, P is less than negative 2. Okay, you will find that sampai ke SPM lah, sampai ke penghujung form 5 kan, you will still make mistake in this method one. Ramai orang akan jawab, yang paling saya pantang lah kalau orang jawab begini P lebih daripada 6 dan begini. Astaga, tiada. Ini keadaan ini tidak wujud There's no such thing. Tiada buka curtain macam ni, tiada. Okay, kalau dia dibawakan dia memang semua kedua-duanya adalah kurang. Okay, if this situation is negative 2 and 6. So be very careful people. Okay, about how you answer this. But